you're running a kind of, shall I call it a charity? You're doing some work for the community back in Uganda. Just tell us the story of how you got into it.
How I got into it, how it found me, probably.
Exactly, yeah.
I think I went home at Christmas to see the family, Uganda, last December. And on my way home at the airport, in Entebbe Airport, I saw, I think they're the under-23 Ugandan cranes.
Okay.
Of course, standing with their black T-shirts and their uniform. And I just started to talk to some of them and ask for a selfie, and that's just how we got to talking. And we spoke, they were on the plane, and some of them, you know, we just got to know each other, talked about football, talked about where they're from in Uganda. I think they were going off to Chan in Morocco.
So you were at Entebbe, flying out of Entebbe.
Flying back to the UK via Qatar. So we went with Qatar, and I got off at Qatar, but we kept in touch because we were exchanging pictures.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was like, let's take lots of pictures.
Right.
Never thinking anything would come of it. Okay, just thinking, I saw the cranes, claim to fame, kind of thing. And I thought that would be it. But as I got to talk to some of them and keep in touch, I started to learn guys who are quite young still have this dream or this passion for because they have many people that follow them in their villages, and they have their dreams of giving back.
Right.
And I remember making a declaration at the beginning of the year to lots of friends that 2018 for me was going to be the year of giving back. Little did I know that was potentially a declaration to the universe to give me something.
You spoke that into being, and it happened.
I poked the bear. And so, January, February, we're talking. They came home early from Chan. And one of them, I think he's from Mbale. And he rang me, or he called me and he said, you know, I'm back in the village. There's an old man in the village, Mzee, as we call them in Uganda. He has some land, and he would like to, rather than distribute it to family or the community, he wants to do something with it for the kids in the community. What can you do, Naki? And I'm thinking, what do you mean? And we should make a pitch. And so the Mzee spoke to me and said, I have this dream that I want to create a pitch for the young kids, because obviously I think about 3 players were from that village. So he's seen those kids grow into these young gentlemen who now play for top level and national team. So he wants to create that avenue. So that's how the seed was kind of sown. So I went over to look at some land. Next thing I know, I'm thinking, what do I know? I don't know anything about setting up a football pitch. However, in sharing and talking about what I believe to be a very inspirational story, and the fact it came to me, I thought, well, whatever little I could do in just even having a conversation with colleagues, and in doing that, I found someone knows somebody who knows Crystal Palace, who knows this person, who knows this coach. Talk to this guy. Oh, somebody who knows somebody who has an academy in Spain. Talk to them, get some insight. So I started to learn about building a football academy.
Right.
So it went from a football pitch to an academy to a training facility. So I've been at it since January, and we found some land. So we created an identity. I found some guys who wanted to work with me just by talking about what I'm up to. So there's a team of guys in the UK, 2 of which I've never met, but we've just been WhatsApping, but they're inspired by football.
All right.
And they all love football. So
one question. Were you, before this chance meeting of the cranes, were you a football fan, football fanatic, or somebody who follows football?
I'm a fan. Fanatic, no. Liverpool's my team. You know, it's default being Irish as well. But would I watch it every weekend? Probably not. I do now.
Okay.
But I think I appreciate, and where I find something inspiring, and I've always been a stand for children, knowing that if I could just even one child, if you can impact a child's life through just listening or just being present and hearing them and seeing, I think you're making a difference.
Right.
And I felt like that something had been given to me, and I was almost obligated. I couldn't ignore it. And maybe being the way I am, being a business analyst as well, partially, just unpicking, okay, what could I create that isn't costly or isn't going to take too long. And before you know it, we're establishing a foundation. We've got a legal entity set up. We found 7 acres in Budaka.
Right.
And we are aiming to create what we're calling phase 1. We've even got a website now. We've got a small website. Create a pitch with basic facilities, lockers, changing rooms for girls and boys. We're reaching out to coaches. We're reaching out to scouts. And anyone who wants to volunteer to come over when the pitch is ready, to start building an educational program, training program. And if there's sports talent there, we want to just create an avenue.
Okay.
And that's where we are.
Now, initially, this started out as a channel to help girls playing football, right?
Girls and boys, but definitely I started to recognise through spending some time with the guys on the team in Kampala, who obviously their passion is football as well, and learning, even seeing what's going on in the media and the sport itself. So I actually took up an exam as part of. So I ended up doing an 8-week course, and now I'm FIFA certified as an intermediary. But doing that course as well, it was quite evident that there is an opportunity to create a conversation or find awareness for female footballers, whether that be in Europe, whether that be in Africa. And something that I've started just talking to other agents or scouts and coaches within Uganda, within South Africa, within Ghana, I'm seeing that there's female footballers, but they still don't get enough coverage, certainly in Africa, and possibly not even in Europe in the same way that maybe the male players do. And there's no reason for that to be any different. So I'm looking into whether the empowerment can come in through our project, of whether the female footballers, and it could be that we empower women or girls to be coaches as female players as well, because I don't see a lot of that. You'll see a lot of male coaches, but you don't.
Having said that, I think the national team has got most of its coaches as men.
Yeah.
And they are actually the women's national team. I think they call the She Cranes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, but I think, they recently went down to South Africa for the COSAFA regional tournament. As it was, they were invited because they obviously, Uganda's not part of Southern Africa. But they did give them a run for their money. I think did they manage third?
They did well.
Yeah. I think they went to semi-finals and managed third position. So women's football in Uganda is on the up. We're going to watch this video of you. I think it's not exactly groundbreaking, but it is exploring the land that you've acquired in Budaka.
Yeah.
Okay.
We celebrate our nation, our future, Uganda, and believe in the beautiful game of football in Uganda. We believe in our mother body, Fufa, Fufa. When the boys and girls aspire to become stars, of the Uganda queens and the crested queens and the sun queens. Come on, our fans, our gallant fans, our sponsors, our dear government, to support the beautiful game. One tribe, one family,
both at regional game.
Yeah.
Dakar.
Yeah.
Both inspired by football, certainly for inspiring young kids in Uganda. I'm half Ugandan, half Irish. And Latif introduced me to his dad, Mr. Sawali. So we've come to see the land, which is a potential site for our Kirali training facility for girls and boys. This is part of the team. Say hi, guys.
Hi.
The Sun project, but we're going to come up with our own entity. The reason I'm doing this is I met the national team, Uganda national team in January, and we talked about the opportunities and the ability for players in Africa, particularly in Uganda, to reach their career aspirations, particularly outside Uganda and into Europe. I was inspired by their efforts, their endeavours as the players for their local villages and what they wanted to be doing for their local villages, one of which is in Mbale. Some of them are considered local heroes. So I took it upon myself to see why can't the children here in Uganda also reach their inspirations, whether they're players, whether they're mentors, whether they're coaches, why can't they have the same as everybody else? And so that's why I'm here. I'm trying to facilitate and create opportunities for everybody, for the whole community, and give local communities confidence to build and rise and be self-sufficient and not have to rely on giving or NGOs all the time. Uganda needs to rise and stand for itself.
Yes. So, there we are, acquired the land. How's it going now? Since then, January, to now, the year is almost turning out. How could you describe the progress?
So that clip was actually September
Okay.
15th, just gone.
Mm-hmm.
And we are actually progressing quite well, quicker than I thought. So there's a process, obviously, as you know, in Uganda, you have to go through titles of land and you have to get district and council approval, where the district's going to sit next week. Our target date was for them to do that in November, but actually they're going to be doing that before the end of, it's the end of October next week, so they're a month early. So
Yeah.
that's great progress for Uganda. Great.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing. I love being organised. I haven't bat yet. So we've also formed the UK company,
Yeah.
CIC. So we've registered a community interest company in the UK, and that will be followed very quickly by registering a company in Uganda. The idea is that when the titles are then processed, we will put the legal entity, as a leaseholder. So we're not buying the land, we're leasing it, and we'll agree the lease term with Mr. Sawali, the owner of the land.
Right.
Neighbouring neighbours of the land are actually also very accommodating, and they're happy to, if we need to extend into additional space, then they're happy to do that. We've got bids from 2 architects, but also based in Kampala,
Right.
with their timelines and their upfront costs for design and concept. So we've got 2 concept designs for the site. We've also got bids from surveyors, so we just need to then appoint a surveyor once we get the district council approval to go and do the deep prints, of which would then be handed off to an appointed architect. And ideally, the next big step is funding, of
All
course. So yeah, that's my biggest objective.
Okay. Let's talk about the project itself.
Mm-hmm.
What exactly are you planning to put on the ground?
On the ground.
On this land that you've now acquired?
Yeah.
What is the plan?
So we've got at least enough land to put match pitch on there,
Yes.
office facilities,
Yeah.
changing rooms for girls and boys, possibly some small boarding, locker rooms, changing rooms, and storerooms for initial phase that we need. And enough space for classroom space so that we can at least run some training programs. So we'll do some staffing, recruitment, on site as well. And that's pretty much, we're trying to keep it as not do too much so that we can achieve it by next year.
Yeah.
So small steps, but achievable. objectives and not go too quick, too big, too quick, and just try and manage the project slowly.
Yes. You mentioned classes or classroom buildings. And what is this for? Is it academics or is it purely sports training?
It's primarily, so we're not creating a school because there are local schools, and we will affiliate and partner with those schools to either recruit the children or offer space for those children to come and play. But we'll also try and partner with the schools in terms of what they might need to help them. And what we're trying to do is, with our centre or with our facility, is somehow complement and provide in some sort of support and collaborative support for the local schools within the area. There's about 4 that we've identified.
Right.
And then also local amenities within Budaka itself, Kibale city town. So that's the intention. The classroom space, the vision we have is we'd like to train whether the adults or teenagers or youth into being mentors, coaches. We're also discussing the opportunity of being sports analysts potentially as a skill. So I've been talking to some analysts over here, it's a skill set, and would they be open to coming and training if we got 30 people? So it's not big space, but it's enough to do some classroom-based teaching or training. But it's on site. It would be on site, and if anyone wanted to hire it as well for meetings, there's an opportunity to do that. If we have space to do marquees, we could rent out for weddings. So we're trying to also create revenue channels.
Yeah. So it's going to be multi-purpose.
Potential, yeah.
Okay. Now, the area of choice, Budaka, this is eastern Uganda. This area is not known, it's not a big catchment area for football. It's rather known for long-distance athletics.
Yes. As well as football, they do have a senior team there in Budaka.
Do they?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I did some research when we last spoke, actually. You planted the seed, and I was like, let me check. But yeah, they do have a senior team, and we're actually going to try and engage with the CEO. But Mbale, in general, as a region, is known to produce talent.
Oh, yes, Mbale used to have the famous one called, I don't think it still exists, maybe under another name, Mbale Heroes.
Yeah, I'm not
Used
sure
to
if they're
be
still there.
Giant killers.
Yeah, giant killers. They're tall.
Yeah,
yes,
whenever
they're very tall.
they went, they performed to beyond their expectations. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah.
Working in Uganda, what bottlenecks did you find, especially those that you didn't expect, the things that surprised you and that almost shook you to your foundations?
I think we haven't seen it all yet either. So, whilst I'm Ugandan, I don't live there. And so, and I'm sadly to say, I don't even speak the language well enough to be able to conduct or manage a site. So I'd have to rely on a local speaking. And they also speak a different dialect in Budaka as well. Yeah. So the timekeeping is one thing. And I think you do have to accept that, but also at the same time teach a way of being and respecting time and why things should be done within a certain, because it helps things progress. So one thing I was mindful of is I might say I'll be there in an hour, and I'll be there in an hour, but somebody else will be there in 2. So it's as if let's meet at 2:00, I'm there for 2:00, and they'll turn up at 2:45, and it's not a problem, it's accepted.
Yes.
So it might work for a while, but if you're inviting stakeholders from another place in the world, it's just how will I be able to manage that to make sure that it's still a professional approach. It's making sure that the team, I think as well, understand that way of being. What else? I don't want to be too negative, but it has its quirks and it has its charm, of course. And there is obviously a mindset in terms of you won't get someone to deliver something unless you give them an incentive. And it's changing that mindset. So for a project, everyone I know so far on the team, from Uganda and the UK, we're all working whether we've got a job or not. So we all have our own jobs. We all have a day jobs or 2. And we're still delivering another project. We're not being paid for it. We know there's upfront costs, and we're all prepared to share that cost up front. We're all prepared to put some skin in the game. because we see what's coming. We see the vision. We understand this will happen, provided we put in the effort without any expectation of a monetary gain up front. So that was a nice surprise to see that I have a team in Uganda who get it enough to not expect to be paid.
Yeah.
But they're still going to work just as hard. And I think that's amazing. And it's very inspiring and if people can see that they believe in the project enough to be able to put their time and their effort without asking for anything in return, because they see at the end of the day it's giving back those that follow us.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also showing, hopefully, another aspect of...
Do you find that in Uganda, the spirit of charity giving or community services is on the rise? Is that something you recognize?
As in within Uganda?
Yes.
As with Ugandans?
Within Uganda.
Is it on the rise? It's always been there, but I think with sport, there's definitely a lot more going on. Empowerment of women, health as well, mental health as well, which stems around sport, you know, in one way or another.
In fact, we're seeing more marathons run for almost any and every cause.
Yeah. So Uganda's definitely got a spotlight, I believe. Some schools that I've already spoken to in southwest London and south of England specifically want to work in Uganda, and I want to do a bit more research as to why Uganda, which is great. So yes, it is on the rise, I'd say. So I think it's timely. It feels like this project is timely, even from a female perspective, and young girls, and this whole female conversation in the world, and the empowerment of women, and females being representatives of being a stand, I think is very timely. And if we can leverage that, certainly for Uganda, I think it'd be a great thing.
Okay, so how would the listener or viewer get in touch or find out more about this specific project or the charity?
Yeah, so the official name, now that we have a registered company, is Dida Sports Foundation, or Dida, D-I-D-A, which is 4 principles that we believe in, which is develop, inspire, discipline, achieve. So we have a Twitter page now, Dida Sports Foundation, so you can find us on there. The website still holds the name of the town, Kibale, or Chibale if you're in Uganda. So www.kibaletrainingfacility.org. And there's 2 project leads, myself and a gentleman called Giacomo. The information's on there, so if you want to inquire, you can email us. But that website gives you pretty much why we're doing what we're doing, what's phase 1 mean, and what's the program of change that we want to implement, and what sort of partnerships we want to create. Right. And there's a gallery of the kids that we've seen so far in the area, and our site trip as well. So that's the contact points at the moment. There will be an official website once I've done the branding and whatnot. But that's,
so it's still early days, but it's looking like the movement is on now.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is.
Now we're gonna get back. So you've had this chance meeting with some footballers, and it's borne fruit.
Yes.
In less than a year.
Less than a year, yeah.
But you've had to go and update, or almost... so we can safely say your football knowledge was very limited at the time you met these people. All you knew they were playing for the country.
I'd say it's probably still...
So you've had to go in and study the game. And you now... what we previously used to call a football agent, that is now called a football intermediary. Tell us that story.
So I think that, again, being the analyst that I am, or maybe my natural way of being, is if I'm going to commit myself into, first of all, committing to somebody that I'll help them, then I'd want to do that in the right way. And knowing that I would be working potentially with children, or to support children in some way, or within an industry that I probably wasn't completely familiar with from a business perspective, I was advised maybe just try and do this course. So a gentleman that I met in Uganda said, there's this 8-week course, online course, it's a webinar, see if you can do it. I think I joined in February. It's 8 weeks, and it's a global course. So I was online every Wednesday for 3 hours, and you had 4 books to read, FIFA regulations, 2 of which we had to read, and you had assignments every week. So literally for 8 weeks, I didn't leave my house. I thought, oh, I've really thrown myself into this. It wasn't...
Deep end.
Yeah, literally. I just thought, what am I doing? But it was fascinating to be online with tutors and other agents who've been in the industry. And then I started to see, as a business perspective, what was there. But it was also teaching me about the regulations of the sport and the rules and what you can and can't and shouldn't do, of which even now as a label, you know, the agent isn't seen as, it's more of a negative, you know, word in some places. And so at the end of that 8-week course, you do a 3-hour exam, of which you become FIFA certified. So I could promote players if I wanted to, of which I may do that.
Being very cryptic now. Are you handling any players at the moment?
A couple,
Okay.
yeah. So, but again, it in my mind is I'm seeing opportunity to maybe take what I'm hearing as a frustration or a challenge from existing coaches or agents and I'm trying to problem solve that. You see, that's the analyst in me coming out, going, well, and then also looking at where's there an opportunity to monetize that as a business opportunity. But I did it because I thought, if I'm going to deliver something for kids or for a community, I need to understand what it is I'm doing. And it isn't necessarily I need to understand the game. I need to understand football as a business, and what that means and what you'd have to put into place as a structure and a framework to do what we say we want to do, what our objectives are. And that's where we are. And if you ask my friends, they probably wouldn't be surprised that Naki did that, you know.
So where do you see, or what's the advantage, say, to the Ugandan player playing in the national league?
What's the advantage?
Yeah, for them having you, for example, or any other as an intermediary for them.
So, of course, with my links in Europe and certainly the collaborative, the business relationships that I'm creating literally as we speak are opening up opportunities for me to work with clubs around the world, coaches around the world, colleges around the world. And it's just a case of building that network and creating solid relationships to create paths for them. Of which is opening up literally on a daily basis. I have a different conversation and a different opportunity potentially arises. You know, there are opportunities and there's still gaps in Uganda where, as clubs in general, they could improve. And again, there's opportunity for me to advise there at the club level. You know, there's the whole idea these days, can I even talk about this? Is that what I've seen is generating of data. So it's important for players to be promoted in the right way and quickly, and professionally. And Uganda, you know, there's opportunity. It's not that they don't do it, but they need to do it better. If they really want to move quickly and promote players to the best of their abilities. And that doesn't take long to shift.
Incidentally, the Ugandan league is now televised.
Yes.
So I think it's a step in the right direction.
It is.
What would you say is the biggest hindrance, for example, of Ugandan players not getting into the European leagues? Because a couple have gone out into Asia where there's a lot of money, but obviously the quality of football is much less, much lower than that of Europe or America and South America. So what do you think are the issues hindering players?
It could be anything from whoever's managing them having the right connections. I mean, what I'm learning is it really is about having the right connections, respectfully, who can give you access to that market. The UK is very different for any African because of the immigration process. you have to have played for the national team, I think 12 caps minimum. And really, in the UK, you've got to have dual passport. Otherwise, you just can't get a work permit. It's almost impossible. However, there are opportunities to go via Ireland, via Belgium, if you have the right contacts. And it really is about the contacts. And if you're at the right level, you really have to be a certain type of level.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an opportunity maybe of accepting that continentally, within the continent, players go through, and Uganda needs to be FIFA top 50 if you want to get into Europe, really, and the UK.
I think they just went up four places into 79.
Yeah. So there's an which is just opportunity, right? It's motivation, surely, but they've got to work hard. But if a player wants to strategically, there's a strategy, and managing those expectations, go via the right path, and just being patient, but being placed there at the right time, go via FIFA top 50, get the right quality, and that will get you into Europe. Can't guarantee that,
It's
but
the way to go.
there is a strategy, and I think it's just managing expectations and not assume because you're at top league in Uganda that you're good enough. No disrespect, but FIFA top 50 is a marker as from a country they need to reach. So,
right.
So
As we conclude our interview chat, what are the things that you're looking forward to as we get into 2019 or towards the end of this year for the Kibale project and also for Dida Sports?
what I would look forward to is that we start build and clearing the land by February 2019. So that would be a huge accomplishment, I think, because it would imply that we've got the funding we need to start. Our target, ambitiously, but not unachievable, is to be able to open the sports centre by September 2019. So that's our big goal for 2019. Obviously there's some aspects there, but February is start for us. So that would be a great start to my year as well.
Okay. And the social media contacts, once again, we'll obviously have them running across the screen.
Yeah, Twitter is at Dida Sports Foundation, and the website www.kibaletrainingfacility.org, and my contact details are on there.
Okay.
If anyone wants to reach out, offer any help.
Oh yes.
All help is needed.
Are you taking donations yet?
Interestingly, somebody asked me that today. I met two coaches in Greenwich, and they asked if we wanted to take donations. I think if you contact me directly, I don't have a facility on the website, but we can certainly discuss what that would look like, because that would even start helping the local community now.
Yes.
And we can discuss that privately via email, because I need to talk about shipping and what that might look like. But yeah, if schools have got old kit, old equipment, or even sports centres, if coaches have access to old uniforms, just let me know. Anything helps. Bibs, anything. Anything for us. Boots, everything.
Okay. Well, Naki, it's been a pleasure hosting you today on the Business Club.
Thank you.
We're sure that you'll return and make this your home. We'll be glad to partner and help with this project as it reaches out to the community, helps them to discover the various talents that they possess, and also take them further in life with the skills attained. So it's been a pleasure. We'll see you hopefully once again.
Thank you.
And if you decide to do any further training in an unexpected field, we'll be glad to hear about it from you.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you again
Ivan.
for coming through.
Thank you.
All right.